The Parsha Korach talks about Korach's rebellion against Moses. On paper, Korach's rebellion, his arguments at any rate, sound perfectly reasonable. We've already had the incident of the 70 elders when Moses has said, with regard to Eldad and Medad, I wish everybody was on a high spiritual level of prophecy. We've had Miriam and Aaron saying, didn't God speak to us? And we have Korach now saying, didn't indeed God speak to us all, and aren't we all, in a sense, special? And therefore, he concludes that Moshe and Aaron have elevated themselves above the masses without justification. Well, the weakness of his argument, to begin with, is that Moshe and Aaron were appointed by God. But we'll leave that one out for a moment. Let's assume that Korach was absolutely genuine and sincere in his belief that he had a right to a major leadership role. Why then do we regard him as such a bad guy who ends up being swallowed up by the earth? What was so wrong? Well, one answer is, it wasn't just Korach. It was that he gathered round him all the malcontents, people like Datan and Aviram, who were rude to Moshe and abuse him and aren't even prepared to go and plead their case or argue. They're just troublemakers. So when somebody has maybe a legitimate argument, if he surrounds himself with malcontents, with people who've got chips on their shoulders or other agendas, then you already know there's something wrong about the honesty of the man's approach. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is when somebody has a claim from which he will personally benefit. Korach is arguing, I want to be part of the high priesthood. I want all the benefits. Of course, there are responsibilities and obligations too. But in other words, he wants something out of this. Which is why the famous Talmudic, Mishnaic statement is that any love that's dependent purely on something physical is not going to last. And similarly, any argument that's purely based on personal benefit, on ulterior motive, is not a legitimate one, and it also won't last. And that was the problem with Korach, this ulterior motive. And so from this, we deduce that expressing points of view is not a problem. Questioning, challenging is part of our tradition. It's very important. Nobody can assume that their positions should never be questioned. Nobody can assume they have absolute authority. Everything has to be subject to critique, analysis, and challenge. But in addition to that, if you seek power, then you need to seek power with a clear conscience and with an honest intent of following the Constitution and of following the law. And that's one of the reasons why the Midrash says that Korach also challenged the law. He challenged the meaning of tzitzit, the meaning of tchelet. He thought that he could interpret the law better. And that too was a challenge to Moses. So for these two reasons, the political and the religious, here you have a situation where the community is raw, it's looking for leadership, it's looking for direction. Moses has to be firm. Korach thinks he can undermine him. And of course, he meets a sticky end.